What? What? She's staggered! And she just fucking insta-woke up from the stagger for no reason. I've never seen that before. On any boss in the game. Nice. Can you stop? I just wanna play the fucking game. Also, put run on the same button as dodges. Stupid shit again. I don't trust that attack. Why am I not just... whatever. I'm trolling. Let me guess, cutscene? No? Okay, before we continue, I have to say something about this fight. Is this the best boss in the game? Yes. Yes, it is. It is the best boss in the game, but at the same time, there's no good bosses in this game, so... it's the best of the worst, is how I would put it. Like... there are so many fundamentally wrong mechanics or badly executed mechanics in this fight that just make it absolutely just as infuriating to play as any other boss in this game. Just the T-posing bosses with instant attacks that you literally cannot see, projectiles and particles that block your entire view of what the fuck the enemies are doing on the screen, so you have to guess a lot of the time what the next attack is instead of being able to see what they do. The fucking AI on the Dancer Blade enemy that just keeps whopping and fucking hopping every single direction from your character on the screen, which either forces you to lock onto her to see when she starts an attack, hopefully, from her T-pose dash animation, or you can do it the way I did, which is to lock sometimes on and sometimes lock off. Now, why did I not play that like this immediately? It's very simple. It's because she dashes too much. Normally, on boss fights where there's two parties, one of them being slower and like artillery on the fight more so, and the other one being the nimble one. Like in these fights, normally, I always play the same way I did here. On this attempt I killed it. The reason why I did not do this is because the AI on the Dancer enemy keeps dashing so frequently behind and every direction from my character that if I don't lock onto her, I have to keep guessing what attack she's doing. And that's something that I never usually have a problem with in duo fights, because they are usually like designed well enough where that is taken into account. Because the game's devs, they play test the fight and then they notice what the issues are on being able to fight two opponents at the same time. And immediately, if I would have playtested this fight, I would have immediately pointed out how it is incredibly vital to either... there basically has to be two ways that this fight is fundamentally made. Either you have to have the other person playing so passive and being predictable enough that you have to dodge his attacks in cadence, and you have to be able to easily predict what attacks the other enemy is doing. It's more like artillery on the background that you just have to keep in mind, but you don't have to like exactly see that enemy to know what he's doing. The other way to do this fight is how most duo fights are done, is to let the player have the possibility of seeing both the duo's enemies in the boss fight at the same time on the same screen. But this fight does not allow you to do that, because the Dancer enemy keeps dashing to the sides and behind the player character so frequently that you have to either lock onto her to keep track of where she is currently, or you just have to try to generally dodge away from her and away from the bigger artillery enemy in hopes of keeping her on the screen at the same time while seeing the artillery enemy at the same time. That's how I had to play this fight, and I basically had to hope for good enough RNG that the big enemy on the back was not gonna do the instant punishing attacks, like on the same or slightly different frame before or after when I need to dodge the nimble enemy. If I ever got RNG like that, I would just die in a fucking instant and attempt this over. There is no consistency in that aspect of fighting this boss. It's just poorly executed. And it's different kind of difficulty compared to fights like that, fights that are supposed to be intentionally unfair, like something like Melania, for example, from Elden Ring, or what's another good one, like Valiant Gargoyles from Elden Ring, like enemy encounters that are just intentionally made to be unfair for the player. Like they are not meant to be fair encounters where you can just feel like you can dodge everything and do everything perfectly every single time when you know what to do. No, that does not work for encounters like that. And this was not intentionally designed this way. It's just not designed well enough for this fight to be the kind of fight that it tries to be. Imagine that that dancer enemy just had better AI to not just keep randomly dashing here and there after like she does her attacks or something, or isn't facing the player anymore. Like, what if they just add an animation on her to just turn the character model rather than just have her dash every time, and give a longer wind up on the slash attack that she does, on all of the slash attacks that she does, but just maybe change the cadence up a bit, add some mix-ups to it so that it's not too easy when you see it coming, like too easily then. There are so many creative ways that you can make a fight that is both very satisfying, semi-fair or fair to the player, and also challenging. There are so many ways you can execute a fight like this that just developers like the Lies of Peace Neovis or From Software just does so much better. And I'm not even talking about a duo fight at this point. I'm just talking about like the overall like animations, the character rigging of the enemy, like attack rigging, and the fucking tail animations on the enemies, like the very like basic stuff that how you like build up on how it feels to fight an enemy in this game. Like, does it feel suffocating? Is it supposed to be challenging? Is it supposed to be like, is it supposed to make the player feel like they are just what would be like the more accurate word for this? Like, this game and Neo share like the most resemblance together from the games I have played, where how it feels to fight an enemy or a boss in the game. And not in any good way whatsoever. Like, Neo has significantly better combat than this game has. So the gameplay loop in the game is one of the things that keeps carrying it. If you just like gameplay only, then that game is probably better for you than something like this. Because this is also very janky at the same time, while also having like very unfair like enemy attack design. But like, it just comes down to like knowing what the enemy attack is always, over instinctively being able to tell what the enemy attack might be. But yeah, I have like rambled way off the fucking rails. TLDR of this fight is that if the character rigging in this game was smoother, I would be able to not look at a T-post fucking nimble dancer who keeps dashing from point A to point B, and I have to keep guessing when she attacks. When I could clearly just see like the character's shoulders like turn at me, or like her fucking hand, like, you know, her raising her hand to fucking do the slash attack, or just anything, just smoothness. Just add the finesse in the fucking animations in this game. If they just did like that for all of the enemies, fights like this would be so much more enjoyable to do. And reduce the fucking particles, and fix the fucking AI on how often the fucking dancer just randomly dashes when they aren't facing you after an attack or fucking whatever. It's all just things that make fucking playing this game so much worse than it needs to be. All the kinds of things that you would not see if I was the director of a game like this. Or more specifically, gameplay director.